So 2020, I have to back up to the fact that it was COVID year. So it was already a historical year for me. I was a classroom teacher, but I was actually on Zoom with 31 fourth graders that year. So I was leading into that fall season. And in July, we had the first fire start, which was our largest fire as it turned out, the Cameron Peak Fire. So the Cameron Peak Fire began August 13th. It was noted by a person that had actually heard a gunshot and then 30 minutes later saw smoke way in the Rewa Wilderness. So then that was burning, but it felt really far away. So we didn't pay too much attention to it in that kind of middle to end summer time.
We had some talk that the fire would never jump the Continental Divide, and I was one of those people that thought it will never jump the Continental Divide, all that tundra. If I had to guess, is probably 2 to 3 miles of open space of pure rock. With that being said, obviously it did jump the Continental Divide, and it was literally in our backyard in an instant.
I was working as a still public school teacher at that point, but it did affect my teaching because we were working with fire ecology within the standards in my classroom as well. So it definitely changed my perspective on what I wanted to help students understand. And a lot of our science standards are about habitat and working with those life sciences, what happens with the relationship of animals to their environment. And clearly with those wildfires, the environment was being ruined. And so a lot of my students were very worried about what was happening to the animals that were in the forest as the forest was burning. So we spent quite a bit of time talking about those issues, and my students actually followed the drama. And I think it did have a profound effect on them. They saw and thought about leaving everything behind.
Started at the livery, closest to the fire. There's this pretty big size meadow there. So just started cutting a big fire swath through that, and I just made my way east through the campus where I thought I can tie Fireline into existing roads. What a Fireline is, so I had a large road grader. It has a 14-foot blade, and all we do is try to cut off the grass, the bushes, any kind of burnable, combustible material. We wipe that out and get it down to mineral soil. So if the fire does come creeping, burning, however fire conditions we have, it'll hit that dirt and it'll put itself out typically.
The announcement came through my text, actually. It was an alert, kind of like a 911 or a Amber Alert type of idea. And it said to evacuate immediately. As we had a lot to get out, and we had 42 minutes. So trying to leave in that big of a rush, there were so many things left behind. I'm fourth generation Estes Park, and I had to leave it all. I couldn't pack any clothes for myself. It was everything I could do to get my cat out from under the bed because she was scared. So 42 minutes. What are you going to grab? Of course, you're going to grab anything alive. It leaves you with a lot of stress, and then you just drive away. And we had no idea where we're going, with nowhere to go, and you just leave.
Fire prevention, I mean, that's huge. That's a huge question. I mean, it takes all of us. For the people camping, just because your fire's out when you went to bed, it will rekindle. It always does, unless you have a ton of water and you stir and mix the logs and turn them around, turn them over, and make sure it's dead out. And then when you leave, douse it again before you leave, because it will rekindle in 2 or 3 days. I was on the wildland fire team in Estes, on Estes Park too. We'll have a lightning strike, the lightning storm go through, on a Monday, and the fire will start on a Wednesday or Thursday. It'll sit around and kind of skunk underneath the duff, which is the pine needles that fall on the trees. It'll sit around there and burn until it gets a little bit of wind, and then it just takes off. I've learned a lot from the fire activity, the fire behavior. You hear on the news all the time. You haven't seen this, we haven't seen this before. And that's kind of where I've been too. I was like, that won't burn. And all of a sudden it has, or that fire won't jump the Continental Divide, and it has. So when you think you've seen it all, you haven't. Mother Nature will throw you a curveball, and you need to be ready. And if you can think the worst, probably think the worst and prepare for that.